Now, you'll be pleased to know that in 5 seasons time, Thiago Almeida is still absolutely incredible. But here's 10 more Wonderkids from day 1 to 5 seasons in the future, including a 6'7" Italian monster striker. He is mental. Do not miss this one. Starting off with Gonzalo Inacio. Of course, we've seen this guy before in a previous video already, and he has to be in this video because in 5 years' time, he is just probably one of the best centre-backs on the game. But starting off, before we look at 5 years in the future, he looks great. Even as 19, looks pretty special, to be honest. Now let's see him 5 years. So moving to Juve, Inacio probably is one of the best centre-backs in the game. I think we can agree with that. 6'2" is at the very smallest that I would go for a centre-back as well, so he just scrapes in there. But he does have decent jump and reach, and to be honest, the defensive position is high enough that I don't think you need to be worried about it too much. Good strength as well. All around, this guy is fantastic, and the best part about him, I think, is he's left-footed, which is really hard to come by sometimes. Like, genuinely, sometimes you have 2 right-footed centre-backs, and it can become a problem. Having this guy eliminates that, and he's fantastic, so definitely worth it. Now, if you're hyped, by the way, for FM22 and all these videos of Wonderkids, let's see if we can get 1,000 likes on the video. Bet you can't. Now we take a trip to Independiente with Alan Velasco, the Argentinian attacking midfielder from that left-hand side. He can cut in on his right. Even though he is only 18, he looks absolutely fantastic, has quite a low value too and a low wage, meaning if you do manage to get him across to one of your big European countries, he does seem to have a very good potential in 5 years. Now, Alan Velasco has moved to Hertha Berlin, and to be honest, a lot of these players have moved to German clubs or Premier League clubs because I've only loaded the German League, and Premier League just always seems to buy the best players. But Alan Velasco, however, has moved to Hertha Berlin, who seem to have an incredible team on this game, full of a lot of these players on this list and the list that we have done previously, part 1. If you haven't seen that, make sure you do. But we haven't spoke about how good he is yet. He is fantastic. He is absolutely amazing, especially cutting in on that right foot. If he can get a shot away, he has great technique, great finishing, good composure, anticipation. A lot to like about Alan Velasco. I dare say he'll probably get a few assists as well. History-wise, he scored 11 goals this season. This has been his best season so far. 7.41 average rating in the Bundesliga is incredible. Now, someone who doesn't look that impressive at the start of the game is Silvio Manser, 19 years of age, can play in that centre midfield role, maybe can play in front and behind that role too. He has some good attributes, but at 19, you'd expect something better. You'd expect what he looks like in 5 years' time. Let's gloss over the fact that Silvio Manser has also moved to the Bundesliga to Bayer Leverkusen. He has developed absolutely incredibly though. We can see a lot of 15s in there, great stamina, great natural fitness. So even though I was worried at the start of the game, of course, 5 seasons ago, that he didn't look that great, when he's 24, he looks fantastic. You can't deny that. So good amount of growth on him. Maybe he has, or we can see, personality. He has fairly professional personality, which means his professionalism is decent. Professionalism means they are more likely to train harder, play well, and get better. From the Benfica B team, we have Paolo Bernardo. Again, another centre midfielder. This one looks a lot better for 19 years of age. That natural fitness and stamina being 14 and 15 definitely appealing now that we know more about the match engine. Great determination, of course, spirited personality, whether that stays with him every single time you load the game, because of course, Wonderkids either have a potential range or a fixed potential, meaning that some of these attributes may differ from each time you load the game, and some of these potentials might be on the lower end of the potential range every time you simulate 5 years. And of course, development is all down to facilities and game time. You know the drill now. But yes, he does have some great attributes to start off with, and I'm very pleased to say they get better. Now, Paolo, when he is 5 years into the future, also looks absolutely insane. Like, the mental attributes look incredible. Not to mention his physicals. Acceleration is only 13, 14's there, but the rest of it, like stamina, natural fitness, 15, agility and balance, don't underestimate how important they are for a centre midfielder, especially as like a deep line playmaker trying to get away from defenders. And of course the technicals, that fantastic first touch, the passing, the technique, all of it is lovely, and it's bundled up in a lovely little package from Paolo Bernardo. I really like this player, to be honest. It might be one of the signings I try and make first off in my save with RB Leipzig on twitch.tv/MegaLukeGaming. Make sure you come over and say hello. Here he is. Okay, Lorenzo Lucca from Pisa. He is basically the Leaning Tower of Pisa because he is 6'7". He is 20 years of age and he's 6'7", playing up front, and at the start of the game as well, 15 finishing, 17 heading, 17 jumping reach. He's incredible. And it's no surprising that he finds himself at Manchester City, Lorenzo. So, I mean, they kind of know who the best players in the world are. The towering striker, that's an understatement, isn't it? 6'7". He is Peter Crouch tall. Like, that's how tall he is. 25 years of age. They're not playing him. Why aren't you playing him? Like, I want to see him played more. He scored 1 goal in the 2 games. When he was at Wolfsburg, he scored a little bit more. And look how cheap Wolfsburg got him for, 3.9 million. And in that first season, 16 goals in 34 games. A goal every other game, and a very high average rating. Well worth the money, Wolfsburg. I think you'll agree. Sold him for £40 million. It's Man City's loss that they're not using him. Definitely try and get this guy on your game. I want to see if you can get a lot of goals of him. He doesn't actually have that bad physical attributes as well. Like 13 pace is not that bad. And 14 agility and balance. That's really good for someone who's 6'7". Let's stay in Italy though, because Andrea Carboni seems to be that talismanic Italian centre-back that Football Manager seem to give us every year. 2 years ago it was Nicolo Armini, last year was Andrea Papetti, this year it could be Andrea Carboni, because he does look absolutely fantastic. Although he is 20 years of age, so he's slightly on the higher age spectrum than we have seen in previous years for this Italian centre-back that we've mentioned. But he does look very well-rounded at the beginning of the game. 6'1", though, slightly too tall. We need Lucca back. Lucca, you need to be centre-back as well. So Andrea doesn't necessarily grow in height, but what he does grow in is ability, because definitely his attributes have increased quite a lot. The jump and reach, of course, is 15, is his highest physical attribute, but the rest of them are there. They're there or thereabout. A lot of 14s in there. Mental attributes is fantastic. Great anticipation, concentration, decision making. Things that you need to be a very good defender. Positioning is 14. That's not too bad. And the fundamentals of heading, marking, and tackling is obviously very good and what you need for a centre-back. Now, either playing on the left or the right-hand side, naturally, he is left-footed, however, is Francisco Conceicao, 18 years of age, from Porto. We've already seen a couple of players from Benfica. Here's one from Porto. Some really standout attributes that he has at the beginning of his career, that 19 flair especially. Some really good physicals as well, decent amount of dribbling, good technique, and I like his player traits. He is definitely somebody who is very appealing at the start. And then there's this. Francisco does look great. I have seen him look better in the previous rendition of Football Manager, but that's not to say he doesn't look great here, and we might see better versions of him, I guess, in other simulations or when we set him to his maximum, because we obviously don't really know until we have the editor. He is getting very high average ratings though, a 7.42, with only 7 goals and 5 assists. Tells me that he's actually just playing really well, despite not scoring or getting a lot of assists, and I'm impressed by that, to be honest. Some really good attributes. He does look fantastic, and he's only 23 still here, so still a lot to go in his career. So 19 years of age, Hungarian, Botond Balogh. Let's say that's how you call it. He looked quite good, to be honest, for 19. 6'2", could be slightly taller. We'll see if he grows, but I like the look of him. That good bravery, good determination, decent amount of physicals, and good fundamental attributes for a centre-back. Does he grow though? So in 5 years' time, one of the most unique players I think on this list, who I definitely haven't heard of before, and I dare say you haven't either, finds himself at Roma, to be honest, and I'm quite impressed. Like, physical attributes, physically he's fantastic, a lot of 15s there. Yes, he's only 6'2", that's kind of the lowest that I would go to, like I've mentioned earlier, for centre-back wise. I wish his marking and his positioning was a couple higher. If they're a couple higher, I dare say this is the best centre-back on this list. Inacio probably has that. But still, the 23-year-old Hungarian does have a lot to like about him. And the fact that Roma's only picked him up for £6.5 million, whether it's like at the end of his contract or something like that, does impress me. He has only been playing in the Serie B though for a long time with Parma, and I think maybe that might have hampered it a little bit more, so we could even see a better version of him. And he's only played 5 games this season. Now, this next player, Nico Serrano, I cannot mention without plugging my Instagram, because I have a good relationship with Nico. We speak on Instagram. He follows me on there, so make sure you're following me too. The links for all of my social medias are down below in the description. Twitter is what I use the most, but of course I am on Facebook as well, and stuff might be coming out on Facebook. We'll leave that as it is. But Instagram, Nico Serrano. He is the next player on the list. 18 years of age. He was fantastic last year, and I dare say he is just as good this year. I think they nerfed him in the winter update, which disappointed me. Now I think he's got better again. Yes, this is what I like to see with Nico Serrano, my good friend. Really good physical attributes, of course, to start off with. Technically, they've really dumbed him down, which annoys me because he is obviously a technical wizard. He's the best player I've ever seen in my life. If you don't follow him on Instagram, by the way, you get to see a lot of what he's actually capable of. Impressive stuff. Some 15s there in the mentals, 17 off the ball. That means if you give him some decent player traits like runs the ball often, beats the offside trap, he'll probably create quite a lot of chances for himself, and you might be slipping him in to find a couple of goals. And again, we're dipping into the waters of FM21. Caligari is here because I think he has even got better than what he was last year too. At the start of the game, he looks fantastic, and on that right hand side, if you are looking for a right back, I think Caligari is definitely the guy you should be going for. Transfer value between 6 and 8 million, 18 million pound. If you can get in between that, it's probably worth it. He can also play in centre midfield should you need him to, but I like him on that right hand side because he has great tackling, for instance, and I think just as a wing back, he will do a lot of damage for you. I think he's fantastic in this game, and when he's 5 years in, he looks even better. Caligari is just one of those very well-rounded right backs, kind of like a Dani Alves. Not obviously to the extent of how good Dani Alves used to be, but you know, a B-Tech version of Dani Alves, and that's still quite impressive, to be honest. He's still very good. He still is a lot better than Fluminense at this point of his career. He's just never moved, never really had the chance, but getting some really good average ratings. I'm quite shocked, really, that a big European club hasn't come in for him. He usually does move on these games. But anyway, that is your list. That's your 10 players. Make sure you check out yesterday's 10 players in this video right here, and I'll see you again for tomorrow for another one, shall I? Bye bye.